please subscribe and don't forget to press the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new video.
Good afternoon and welcome to Midcap Radar. I'm Anisha Jain. You're tuned into CNBC TV18. Well, as far as the market is concerned, we are off the day's high as well. We had reached a high of 10,713, currently trading at around 10,680 mark. We had seen a tad bit of reversal as far as Nifty is concerned. We had seen a sudden slip come in the last 10 minutes of trade if you pull up the intraday chart, but we are now recovering a tad bit from the low point of the day. If you look at the stocks that are really causing that down move pressure, ICICI Bank is coming under a bit of pressure, as well as Yes Bank is down about in trade. The Bank Nifty space entirely is actually underperforming a tad bit because that is the only index that is trading in the red. Other than that, Axis Bank as well as other heavyweights like L&T and Reliance are trading a tad bit lower as we speak. But let's start off the show with the top headlines. So first up, market holds on to some gains but trades off the session highs. Key indices gain 0.25% each. Midcap index gains in line while the Nifty Bank slips in red. Sunil Mehta panel recommends 5-pronged strategy to tackle stressed assets. Suggestions include creation of an asset management company for loans over 500 crore rupees and a potential for turnaround. PSU Bank stocks, however, trade flat to a tad bit lower. Power Minister gives the green light to states to import coal if required to meet the power demand. Coal India tells CNBC TV18 that they hope to increase dispatches to 680 million ton, exceeding the current target of 610 million ton. The Indian Met forecasts heavy to very heavy rainfall across India this week. In Mumbai, air, road and rail traffic disrupted. 5 injured after a bridge collapses in suburban Andheri.
Anisha, hi. So let's bring in Ashwani for a quick chat on markets as always. Ashwani, good afternoon. You know, we're off about 30 points from the high on the Nifty. So that, extended, more powerful short covering, at least is not materializing as of now. I mean, your thoughts?
Well, we went up to 10,710, which is a decent rally from, 10,630, 650. Something is going wrong in banking because large private banks and large PSU banks, including State Bank, HDFC Bank, Yes Bank, ICICI Bank, are again coming under pressure. So once that happens at key resistances, the rest of the market was doing fine, but the banking pocket is again beginning to turn. So for the moment, currently the trade is to get short on banking, maybe even the Nifty, and see what downside we are able to get, because this sort of large bank selling is not retail selling. Often institutions are continuing with their selling of HDFC Bank, which happened yesterday. So my sense is that the Bank Nifty could lose some more going into the close. Overall, this market is basically choppy. Going down does not mean breaking yesterday low. Going up does not mean breaking the range high. So that way, one particular pocket is seeing pressure, while the rest of the mid caps, they probably still are holding up. So for the moment, HDFC Bank is a sell with a stop of 2080, target of 2035. ICICI Bank is a sell with a stop of 276, target of 264. And Maruti remains a buy with a stop of 8900, target of 9050.
Okay, Ashwani, thank you so much for joining us with that perspective. But on to the top story. The Sunil Mehta panel has recommended a 5-pronged strategy to tackle stress assets. Lata Venkatesh is in conversation with Mr. P.S. Vijaykumar, Managing Director and CEO of Bank of Baroda. Let's go across to that riveting conversation.
Bad loan problem has come from the Sunil Mehta panel, which has recommended a 5-pronged strategy to tackle this set of the stock of bad loans. The first recommendation, of course, is regarding smaller assets with exposure up to 50 crore rupees. Under this approach, banks will create focused verticals within their own banks for selling stressed assets in the SME space. The second part of the strategy focuses on mid-sized assets with exposure of 50 to 500 crore rupees. Here, the key element of the approach is financial institutions authorizing the lead bank to implement the resolution, and one hopes within 80 days. The third element, which is really the most important, focuses on stressed assets over 500 crore rupees. This envisages the creation of an asset management company. The fourth leg of the strategy is that has been recommended by the panel is using, of course, the NCLT in the IBC process, and that is for the very large loans. The fifth part is the creation of an asset trading platform. So that's a fairly comprehensive plan. Welcome to this special CNBC TV18 initiative, and joining me to discuss this is Mr. P.S. Jayakumar, Managing Director and CEO of Bank of Baroda. Mr. Jayakumar, thank you very much. Well, first up, if you can tell us, what is the financial interest in the AMC? Are you privy to, private equity funds or FIIs or anybody who is interested in funding the AMC?
So the AMC by itself requires, as you know, limited capital. So that's not really the point of discussion. The large part of the funds, I mean, all of the material funds is going to be raised in the AIF. So the issue then is whether the AIF will be able to raise the funds. Now, there has been discussions and testing of the market, if you will, and the response is reasonably positive. Therefore, on that ground, we feel that there is the ability to raise the funds for the AIF to then be able to buy out the assets. Okay. Now, this is an open architecture. It doesn't involve only one AMC, one AIF, so we expect that there will be several participation. Now that we have created a framework by which decisions can be done and a logical process of bringing it to the AMC, AIF to happen. Okay. So that really is what it is. So there is a fair amount of confidence. The funding is available. Okay,
I'm sorry. I should have said how will the AIF be funded? Now, will BOB also be putting in some money in any of the AIFs?
So let me put it to you this way, that the bulk of the funds all money will be institutional money. We expect domestic funds to participate. We also expect foreign funds to participate. As far as individual banks are concerned, it's up to them. There are a set of extent rules on participation in AIF. And within the context and within the risk appetite, Bank of Baroda will certainly participate.
What is the corpus?
I don't want to get into the specifics of the amount. As these things roll out, we will know.
No, what is the corpus that is being envisaged for the first AIF? I mean, have the bankers concerned, Sunil Mehta, and people like you and Rajnish spoken to the funds? Are you looking at a 10,000 crore AIF, 20,000 crore AIF? Any ballpark number that you will first work with for the first AIF?
So, as I said, it's an open architecture. There will be participation by this particular AIF as well as with others. We will take it as it comes, but if you look at it from a theoretical standpoint of view, keeping the total size of the of assets between the larger size assets that are concerned, which I think is about 3.1 lakh crores, and assuming a 40% valuation, 40% is the true fair value, we're looking at about 1.2 lakh crores. And this will come in stages, and again, I want to say that there's a fair amount of confidence that will happen.
Any timeline?
But specifically, are we going to start with 10 or 15? I think as we get to the drawing plan, we will do that.
Okay, so you envisage that it will be incorporated in the month of July itself, and a CEO or some lead management team will be ready?
Yes, we have to move fast on this. So I think the preparatory steps are underway, and we will be quick to market. Okay. Quick to come to market. Now, whether it's July or August, we can work the details out. But very much there is a process underway, and I think now that the report has been accepted, or rather been discussed with the government, I think now it's time to move to the next block of action.
You don't have much time. The February 12th circular set the clock starting from March 1st. And by September 1st, if loans above 2,000 crore are not resolved, they have to be marched to the NCLT. You think a substantial part of these 2,000 crore plus loans will be marched into the AIF before September 1st?
I mean, the point is that to tackle the existing number, we have to come with a plan as early as possible and certainly have some action plan by end of August. But this is an ongoing issue. It's going to be an ongoing issue. I mean, it's not the end of it. I mean, we're going to have, as the businesses roll forward, as we go into future, we would still need this type of an institutional framework to deal with stressed asset as a group. So I think it's both for the immediate as well as for the long term.
Okay.
Now, specifically, if you ask me whether all the assets will be provided for, I don't know, but we'll do our best.
Okay. You hope at least some of them will have entered the AIF by September 1st? I mean, or is there a plea to ask the Reserve Bank to push back the September 1 deadline by a bit?
Well, we'll take it as it comes. That's also, as of now, we have not depended upon any particular dispensation for our program to move forward, for this program to move forward. It is within the extent rules that we have currently. But we'll take it as it comes along.
Will your provisioning requirement fall at all? You know, after the February 12th circulars, investors made some projections of the kind of provisioning PSU banks, in fact, corporate banks have to make. Does that change at all because of the AIF?
I think the average provision, including the TWO for the system, is around 55 to 57%. So an adequate amount of coverage of provision has already been made. Now, it would be asset specific how much more we would need. And that's a judgment we have to make. But what is pertinent to mention is because of the levels of provision that is already underway, we can today discuss of a program as the current one, which probably may not have been possible if you had looked at it, say, 24 months before or 12 months before.
Okay. Well, actually, you know, about 3 years ago, Mrs. Bhattacharya was talking about a stressed assets fund as well, something which will not be government owned. So to that extent, the conversation is kind of a repeat. But let me come to the other bank-led, you know, under 500 crore lead bank-led sale of assets. That one should take off quickly. Yeah. Can you update us on what has happened there?
Yes. So we are now working to get the intercredit agreement in place, and over the course of the next week, between now and, for the next 7 to 10 days, we'll try to get a closure on the ICA. Once the intercredited agreement is done, then that provides a logical framework for a lead bank to take responsibility for the resolution of that particular account. So the drafts are already there. It's now the discussions have started, and then it's a process that can be concluded quite early.
Okay. Actually, I'm still confused about the first step in the AIF process. I mean, who incorporates it? Is it the government of India that incorporates it? Will all the banks get together, set up a JV company in which each of you have probably 10% stake? What is the first legal step here, sir, in this AIF?
So, as far as the AMC is concerned, there is absolutely no government involvement of any sorts. Now, we're talking about a fairly small size capital for the AMC. So, the sense is, therefore, it should not be difficult to raise the fund. I think the larger question is the talent pool in the AMC and getting them. And getting a quality team in place that can then help and roll out this process. I think that's a larger challenge than setting up the AMC or raising the 20 crores of capital or 10 crores of capital, whatever that initial number be.
No, I'm surprised why you're saying that capital is low. If you have to transfer GMR Chhattisgarh, suppose I have to transfer GMR Chhattisgarh or GMR Rajamundry or KSK Energy. These are all large companies. Yeah. I mean, 6,000, 7,000 crore at least. So a capital of about 2,000-3,000 crore should be ready.
No,
Who incorporates that fund?
Okay, let me again clarify. There are two elements to it. There is an asset management company, which is fundamentally capital light. There is an AIF, which has a corpus of funds. So therefore, there are two different sets of fundraising as it is. You asked me the question relating to AMC. So I said it's not a very large amount. That ball can be set rolling. Now, as far as AIF is concerned, the expectation is domestic institutions will participate, and we probably will get foreign institutional investors are concerned. As far as the first tranche is concerned, there is reasonable conviction we can raise that kind of funds.
Okay. Okay, so what you envisage is that if 10 banks have loans to, say, GMR Chhattisgarh or GMR Rajahmundry or some GVK airport, you all transfer the asset to the AMC and the AMC runs it, but in your books you all would have provided for it. Is that the way we should understand it?
No, okay, let me try to explain it the way it is. See, there is the AMC, which is, and ARC, which are the management part of it. There is a fund that holds the asset. So the assumption is that, I mean, not the assumption, the plan is that whichever assets are there, it is an open architecture. Many people can bid for it, and whoever bids for it the best would end up buying the asset.
Okay.
But whoever takes it will pay the cash amount for settlement. That would be settled in 60 days' time. That's what we envisage. So the transfer of assets will take place and the banks will get the funding, and so the transactions will get completed. Now, if there are some deep discount bonds that are going to mature, or there are going to be some instrumentalities by which the banks will get upside, then those will happen at that point of time. But what is envisaged is a pure settlement by cash. So the balance sheet assets go off the balance sheet, the cash amount is received, and whatever additional provisions that need to be taken are taken.
Okay. No, I mean...
Or conversely, if you have release of provision, that could also happen.
Okay. And you expect that some of the assets...
Your concern really is who's going to put the money in AIF.
Yeah, where is the cash coming from?
There are investors... both domestic and international. Banks can also participate, but it's not expected the banks are going to fund this. And there is a cap, I think about 10% banks can participate in any AIF. Within that scheme of things, some banks will participate. Those who participate get the upside on the asset as they get sorted out, right? And so there will be some bank participation, there will be other domestic institution participation, there will be other forms of private participation, there will be investors coming in. But what we also envisage is other ARCs will team up in a similar manner and raise adequate amount of funding for them to operate. Okay. So in essence, it is not one AIF, but multiplicity of AIF. There could be sector-based AIF. So all of that will come in. So if you ask, that's the way it will roll out. Okay.
When is the first asset likely to be sold? Since there are several 2,000 crore rupee assets. When is the first asset likely to be off your books to AIF or ARC?
Your question is what's the time or the specific asset?
Yeah, what is the time? Approximately when will the first deal get done?
As far as specific assets are concerned, that would depend upon bank. Just going back to your point, we need to do something by August.
Okay. So you
unless we get some special dispensation, as you said, for stretching the time. But that's the time message.
Okay, then we have to take stock of the situation within 2 months. Mr. Jayakumar, pleasure speaking with you. Thank you very much for taking time to clarify our doubts on this new architecture put out.
Okay, so that is Lata in conversation with Mr. P.S. Jayakumar at Bank of Baroda. I mean, the critical point which Lata was pressing on was essentially where is the money going to come from? And Mr. Jayakumar alluded to the fact that, well, there will be bidders. Banks can participate up to 10% in some of these funds. But, I mean, is that an answer convincing enough for the market? I think it's, maybe it's not. Look at what look at how stocks are reacting. I mean, there is no real excitement or anything of that sort based on what was announced yesterday. But we'll continue to get you more reactions. We take a very quick break, the first of the show here, with news that there isn't very much by way of change from when we started at 1:30. The Nifty is up about 30 points, 10,687 on the index. Bank Nifty is down about 0.1%. We're back with more.
Welcome back to Midcap Radar. Well, the Nifty is trading at around 10,680 mark, around 30 points off the day's high, while the pressure is actually coming in the Bank Nifty space because that one is down around 40 points. But do remember the Power Minister is meeting the state ministers as well in Shimla. There have been important statements coming in from there. The Power Minister alluding to the fact that there has been shortage of coal in the country, and he said that importing coal can be one of the options that could be exercised by the state if there is demand for that. So those are the live visuals coming from that particular meeting. We will wait by and see if any more comes out from that particular meeting. But Moving on then, Tata Steel and ThyssenKrupp have signed a definitive agreement to combine their European steel operations. The 50-50 joint venture will create Europe's second largest steel company. Now remember, Tata Steel's Kaushik Chatterjee tells CNBC TV18 that ThyssenKrupp JV will be EPS accretive as 50% of the company's profits will flow into Tata Steel India. Speaking to Nisha Poddar, he says full synergy benefits of 400 to 500 million euros will take 2 to 3 years to kick in.
I think, this is a collaboration and a partnership that has been built on a very strong industrial logic and footprint. And I think the Indian shareholders and the company will be in a much more financially robust position. Not only are we going to look at deleveraging on the deconsolidation of about 2.5 billion euros of debt, we will have consolidated interest costs which will come down by about maybe 1,000 crores. We create balance sheet appetite for the growth in the Indian business, and therefore I think it will certainly have an earnings accretive position. Not to mention about the fact that as a 50-50 joint venture, when we account it on an equity basis, we will have the earnings of the joint venture company, and with our expectation is also that it will be a free cash flow business from which the shareholders will be duly serviced.
So you've said synergies of 400 to 500 million euros per year. Is that expected to clock in from the very first financial year of your operation as a merged entity?
So I think there are certain synergies which has the potential to start faster than the others. For example, there are ones which are the procurement synergies and synergies on account of the network. These are the ones which will come in possibly first, and then there are synergies which will flow in as we go along. Our estimate is it will take 2 to 3 years to mature on the numbers that we have guided for.
You said that 2.5 billion euros passed on to the joint venture that will be deconsolidated from Indian entity. So that means 20,000 odd crore rupees going from your overall net debt that you left in the end of FY18 at 86,000 crore rupees. So that will reduce to 66,000 odd crore rupees. But then you're also buying out Bhushan Steel, where you've said that you're taking a debt of 16,500 crore rupees. What are your plans for debt management? Are you comfortable with these levels? And with this debt on your books, would you still pursue Bhushan Power and Steel?
So I think if you have to look at the Bhushan Steel acquisition, this has been done on a very prudent capital structure. We've contributed about 18,000 crores of equity related from Tata Steel and about 16,500 of debt. For a 5 million plus ton facility with very strong asset configuration, especially on the downstream, and a market presence. We are replacing debt with the acquisition of fundamentally strong Indian operations, as in the acquisition in Bhushan Steel. Bhushan Power, I can't comment because it's currently in the court.
Okay, that is the chat with the Tata Steel management. We will take a very quick break. It's actually up on time as far as Midcap Radar is concerned. We'll leave you with the news that markets are kind of underwhelming after starting to perform mid-session. 27 points is all that's left. We're off about 35 off the high on the Nifty, and I think same is true with Bank Nifty. Actually, the situation on Bank Nifty is a lot worse. The index slipped into the red. Keep it with CNBC TV18. Your stocks will take all the action forward. Thanks for watching.